What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video, another hoot and a holler. In today's video, we're talking about the consequences of doing Xanax. Listen, you guys seem to really like the cocaine video, and I told you guys I was going to make a little series out of this, and here we are with the second one. We're talking about Xanax today. So hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also, I just want to say real quick, thank you all very, very much for 900,000 subscribers. It's pretty surreal that I'm even saying that number seriously right now, but we're actually probably going to hit 1 million subs this year, which is incredibly exciting. I've been doing this since like 2012. I've had this specific channel since 2013. Never could I have imagined I'd be seriously saying any of this right now. So thank you all for the support. I really appreciate you guys. I love you all. We're a big family over here. I hope you guys continue to enjoy the content this year. And let's not waste any more time. Let's just dive right into the video. Alright, so I got to start this one by saying first and foremost that Xanax is one of the drugs that I have the most experience with in my life. Out of all the substances under the sun that I've done, Xanax is one that I've relapsed on probably the most. I mean, I came back over and over and over again for these stupid little Xans, and the reason being these things are evil. These little things are by far the most consequential drug I've ever done. However, the worst part about it is, in the moment, it doesn't really feel like a consequence on Xans. You know, nothing feels like a bad thing, or, you know, you don't really notice the world kind of crumbling around you when you take this drug. So, in this video, you know, we're gonna especially really have a lot of meat to get at here. So first and foremost, let's talk about what is probably my favorite of all of the consequences I faced out of taking Xanax, which was car accidents. Now listen, you guys have definitely heard a million stories about me crashing cars on this channel, and I kind of have a bit of a confession to make. And the confession there is that when I was younger in particular, was not always upfront in my videos about what drugs I was on when I was driving cars, okay? And I think I did that when I was younger, mainly to just kind of cover my ass, because I was so scared of getting in trouble for my content. Now, as an adult, I realize, like, I'm pretty sure I can make a terroristic threat on this channel and be okay. I've said some really outlandish shit, nothing's happened, okay? That's a line I'm not going to cross. I'm just saying I feel like maybe I could, but either way, so when I was younger, I used to drive on Xans all the time, and anyone who tells you that they don't drive on Xanax is an outright liar. You shouldn't trust that person, because even if, like, you're the kind of person who you've never driven intoxicated, the moment you pop a Xan, your decision-making is out the window. You're in your head like, yo, I need to drive to 7-Eleven now, I need a goddamn hot dog. And on Xans, like, you're doing that mission. You're busting that mission no matter what. There's nothing stopping you. You'll make it there. You'll get there by any means necessary. The car just happens to be the main means that you'll be abusing typically. So for example, when I had my Mazda 3 when I was younger, I had a Mazda 3 for a total of like what? Maybe 2 months. Totaled that, I literally nodded off. I fell asleep. I was running on no sleep, and I was also barred out, nodded off. I was stoned too, crashed that fucking car, right? The amount of hit and runs that I did, barred out of my fucking mind, unbelievable. And this wasn't something exclusively that I did when I was a minor. This is something also into adulthood, like 20, 21, early 20s, when I was popping Xans, living alone when it was kind of depressing to pop my Xans. I was still crashing my whips. I had this Jeep Liberty, and I was at Walmart one time, barred out of my fucking mind, bro. I don't remember how many I took, but I remember I went up to Walmart because I was just insistent that I needed to go get Pokemon cards then and there. I was like, yo, bro, I want some Pokemon cards today. Like, this sounds fun. I think I had, like, it was during COVID, during the Pokemon card craze, when everyone was buying them now. Now it's popping again. But either way, I go up to Walmart, I get these fucking Pokemon cards, I pop out, I don't remember how many cards I got, probably not very many, I didn't have very much money at this point, but I get back in my Jeep Liberty, and mind you, I'm barred out of my fucking mind. The license plate on this car doesn't actually belong to the car, because I never registered this car to me because my license is suspended. There's no valid insurance on this car, okay? The guy I bought it from was really sketchy, it wouldn't tell me much about the car, this thing might be stolen, I don't know. I jump in this thing, barred out of my mind, throw this hoe in reverse, literally back straight into a minivan, directly into it. And it was not an old beat one like a Dodge Grand Caravan. It was a nice one. It was a new one. It was like one of those Chrysler minivans. I remember it was gray. It was nice as shit. Back straight into it, floored it out of that fucking parking lot. That was a nice, hard-working family whose day I just fucked up. One time, I lost my car on the Xans. I shit you not. This happened when I was in high school. One time, I parked my car at McDonald's, right, to get into a homie's car, because this is just something you would do when you're younger. It's like, yo, we can't meet at your house because your parents are home. Meet me in this parking lot, and we'll just swap cars, and that's how we'll all hang out, you know? So we met up at McDonald's, and I jumped in my homie's car, and we were all fucked at that point. I should not have been driving. I'm sitting in my car fucked up when I switch whips at this point. So I have no recollection of leaving my car at this McDonald's. And I like blacked the fuck out. I remember I wake up the next day and my car's not home. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little concerned, but I'm like, well, I probably just got to ride home. That wasn't super unusual for me at this point in my life. So I went over to my friend Cody's house the next day, who I expected my car to be, like, in front of his house. And I get there, and my car's not in front of his house. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a little strange. I'll just ask him about it. Surely he knows. I ask him about it. He's like, oh, dude, you got dropped off here yesterday when you came over. I'm like, okay, well, who dropped me off? Like, what's up with this? He throws a name out there, a crazy name. All right, we're just going to say Ashley for the sake of this video, but a name that at this point in my life I shouldn't have been around, okay? A name that at this point in my life, the chapter was closed, okay? I reopened that book because I blacked out on Xans the day before. So I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I have to make a phone call, So I bust out my phone, I make a phone call Ashley up. I'm like, Ashley, where's my car? She's like, what do you mean? I picked you up at so-and-so's house. I'm like, what are you talking? I had to I shit you not, I didn't find my car for like 2 days, okay? The next day, I didn't find my car. I was convinced someone took it. I was thinking in my head, I remember I was talking to Kyle about it. I was like, dude, Kyle, I think like was I at a party or anything anywhere? Like, did I speak to you yesterday? Like, I think someone might have social engineered me out of my car. Like, I can't think of any other solution. I did eventually figure out that it was at the McDonald's that was right next to my high school, which, honestly, knowing me, that should have been one of the first spots I checked. Either way, Xanax makes you a fucking idiot with cars. Pro tip right here, if you're about to pop some Xans, throw your keys out the window, hide them from yourself, forget about it, all right? This kind of brings me into the next consequence I want to talk about. This last part here with Ashley really brings me into the next consequence I want to talk about. And that is, there is no other drug that will have you making numerous life-changing decisions in a short span and then remember none of it the following day. This is, honest to God, probably the worst part of this drug, is that Xanax, for me, I swear, I don't know what it is, y'all, I'm gonna be honest, this shit turns me into Drake, okay? I shit you not, bro. Every time I take Xans, next day I wake up, there's just someone in my messages that shouldn't be there. Okay, there's someone in my call history that shouldn't be there. All right, there's a new mutual follow on Instagram, my personal Instagram, it shouldn't be there. Okay, should not. You don't belong on the screen. You don't need that real estate. And when I was younger, there was a very brief, 2-week relationship I had. And I think I've talked about it a couple times on this channel, but it was like my junior year of high school. And I remember I literally got barred out of my fucking mind. And I woke up the next day and I just had a girlfriend. Like, it was this committed thing. And this was a girl who I'd literally never met at this point. Like, we went to the same school and everything, but we just followed each other back on. You guys remember an app called Photo? This is some boomer shit, dude. If you guys weren't around for Photo, it never got big enough for anyone to talk about anymore. So you just kind of had to be there for it. It was on that app. Either way, got zanned out of my mind. Followed someone back on Photo, woke up the following day in a committed relationship. I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, okay, well, I actually gave it a shot, dude. The problem is, I was barred out every day following for the next 2 weeks, which didn't really help the chances here, but I really gave it a shot. The following day, I was like, all right, man, let's do it. Come to find out, we actually met. We hung out one time. No, I lied. 2 times. We hung out 2 times. And the first time we met, and I just knew pretty much immediately. I was like, oh, this This isn't making it out of the iMessage. And I remember, dude, I was reading the message history because I was so shaken up. I literally woke up the next morning to like a good morning with a heart text from a woman I'd never met. And I'm looking through the messages, trying to piece things together. I was literally lying. I was outright lying to this woman's face about like just shit. She's asking all about my life. I'm telling her this crazy shit. I told her I had this like really good job in sales with my friend. Bro, I'm like 16. I was talking crazy. I was role-playing. I was LARPing in that shit. That's the kind of shit that the Xanax will have you doing so effortlessly, so casually. And then you got to deal with the fallout of that. And being barred out is not a valid excuse to anyone who doesn't take Xans. That's the thing. If you hang out with a bunch of Bartards, they'll get it. Like, you can crash out on this shit. Next day, wake up, just tell everybody, like, drop the message real quick. Be like, hey, guys, sorry, disregard everything I said yesterday. I was on Xans. When you take the emotionally fragile girl that I dated for 2 weeks, who I committed to over text, who was kind of weirdly obsessed with me, and tell her, hey, listen, I know I told you that you like saved my life by telling me I'm cool last night, and you told me you love me on night one and everything, but actually I meant nothing I said back to you. That girl would probably kill herself and leave my name in the note. So we can't do that, you know? We got to slowly pull these pieces back apart. I think one of the worst things about Xanax in particular is it's always that next day gamble where you wake up the following day and you just got to ask your homies like, hey, what did I do yesterday? And sometimes you'll remember it, but the days where you don't is where it's really most important to ask that question, because you'll have consequences you didn't know were coming come back and bite you in the ass. Which kind of segues me perfectly into the next consequence I want to talk about. Now, I want to remind you all before I dive into this one that these are personal consequences here. You know, Xanax is different for everybody, but I think across the board, universally, it is definitely one of the most consequential drugs to consume on a daily basis. Everybody who becomes a day-to-day Bartard completely shreds their life over it. There is nobody who is barred out every day who is fully functional. Some people might tell you they are. They're not, especially on this drug. And while I was on probation back in 2017, I kind of had a dilemma because I wasn't really able to smoke weed. And typically that's how I would go day by day. You know, I dabbled in a lot of other harder drugs, but the weed was always kind of my baseline. That was the one stable thing that I had. So when I was on probation, I was getting drug tested and I wasn't able to smoke because the THC would stay in my system for too long. Xanax is what I really turned to carry me through that period of my life, because that shit was in and out of my system in like 3 days, and you didn't really have to do anything extra for that to happen. I didn't have to drink any of these dilution drinks that were $50 a pop. I didn't have to, you know, go and sweat a whole bunch in a sauna to try to burn off the fat like you do with THC. You know, you can just let it happen with Xans, and it's in and out of your system relatively quickly. And I used to work a job where I was not really supervised whatsoever, and I worked in sales. I worked at a bathroom remodeling company as a sales representative, and I would literally go to like trade shows and malls, and we had this little display where it was like a bathtub on wheels. Like, we had a bathtub with like the little like kind of ceramic panels behind it, or tiles, like showing you the different wall textures we could do, and they were literally in these little like buggies on wheels. And I used to get into the tubs because we had those nice like jet tubs you could actually sit in with a chair in them. I used to get into the displays and sit down, barred the fuck out, and play mobile games on my phone. I used to play like Clicker Hero, I think it was, or like Idle Hero or some shit like that. There was a specific game I always played, but I would literally get into the bathtub in my uniform in public on the clock and pass the fuck out on Xans. And at the time, I was so barred out and stupid that I genuinely thought there was never going to be a consequence of that. I thought I could just blend in, like, oh, if I'm in the bathtub, people aren't going to notice me. Like, this is going to be chill. I can't even imagine how many people probably came up to the displays and looked at my dumbass sleeping. There's probably pictures of me out there. For sure, there was like kids posting me on Snapchat like, yo, look at the Bath Planet guy. This idiot's passed out at at the display at the mall. And I used to do that all the fucking time. And my dumbass, I genuinely couldn't fathom why my hours kept getting reduced. As if, like, nobody ever realized I was just blacking out on Xans for half of my shift, every other shift. Listen, that job was awesome. That job was lit. I'd show up, pop some bars, pass out, clock out on break like 10 times. There was no actual clocking out. I just walk away. There was nobody supervising me. You know, it was, oh my God, I missed that fucking job. But the Xanax, what I thought was actually saving my job, what I thought was helping me get through the work days, was actually having the opposite effect, and it made me lose it. When I first started working there, they were giving me like 40 hours a week, and I was making bank, dude. I was making $12 in base pay plus commission, and this was fresh out of dropping out of high school, less than a year out of dropping out of high school, and this was in like 2016. I needed that money. 2017, pardon me. I needed that money, right? So they were treating me good, and I was making some solid money. But I just started getting more and more into the Xans, and I had a coworker who really was not helpful in that manner, who was serving them to me, and I just kept getting more and more barred the fuck out, dude. And it started off as like, oh, only the shitty days, you know, the shitty shifts where they'd schedule me for longer days at weird venues when I get barred out. But then it got to the point where I started getting barred out at the really, really public venues, like the trade shows and the carnivals. The carnivals were bad, dude. They would literally have us go to like those little local fairs and set up one of these displays to get leads, and I would be fucked up at pretty much every single one of them, and you have to do so much interaction with people there. I would tell you guys some of the dumb shit I said to people then, but I don't really know. But I remember one time in particular where my manager, his name was Andrew, he sent me a text about how I always need to stay awake and alert and at my station, and I knew that he for sure knew what was up when he sent me that message, because at that point my hours were already heavily reduced. I like, they were making it very blatant. They wanted nothing to do with me anymore, and I think they were trying to make me quit. But I persevered. Little did they know, I am totally okay with working less. Okay, I was a lazy idiot, and I still lived with my mother. So, like, I was super down to just work less, all right? Like, this was a job that, like, yeah, shit was sweet, but listen, dude, homie will come serve me the Xans on or off the clock. Like, I don't need y'all motherfuckers. Eventually, I lost that job, and I ended up working at a car dealership afterwards, which I thought was going to be, like, a really incredible W opportunity. I got off probation while working there. So, I mean, if I was raging the Xans at my last job while on probation, you can imagine how hard I started going when I got off, okay? My dumb ass was so barred out that I quit my job to go full-time with YouTube while I was making about $300 a month at my peak from YouTube. That was my holiday pay at the time. That wasn't my, like, January money. No, buddy. That was my December money. All right, so shit was tragic at that point. My barred out stupid ass quit my job to pursue that full time, which, granted, looking back, you know, yeah, you could say it worked out, but I definitely could have done another couple years clocking in. It wouldn't have hurt, I really promise. So the next consequence I want to talk about is one of the most significant and noticeable ones for everyone around you, and including yourself, honestly, and that is the Bartard rage. Xanax really triggers anger in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen another drug do, and it's a really interesting thing because Xanax is supposed to calm and sedate you. It's supposed to be this anti-anxiety medication, yet myself included and a lot of my friends get more irritable than ever when they're on the Xans. I'll crash out over absolutely nothing. The amount of times that I've almost gotten into full-on physical fist fights with my friends over a missing Xan at a function, probably too many to count on my fingers, okay? This is a drug that effectively turns everyone who consumes it into a caveman who can't find his club. And, I mean, you guys can imagine, bro's not able to speak English. He's just going to start crashing out over that shit. That's basically me every time I'm on Xans. And I would just absolutely blow up over the stupidest, most nonsensical shit that just did not require getting angry over. There was one time, I mean, Actually, no. Well, there was not one time. There's many times this happened, but one time in particular where I lost literally one Xan. I remember I thought in my head I had put one aside, and this was a common thing. I would always try to put aside a couple of Xans and hide them from myself, and then I'd get barred out, do them during the course of that bender, forget about it, and when I came back to, I'd absolutely crash out looking for the Xans, thinking that somebody stole it. And I remember one time when my ex was living with me, I thought exactly this happened, and I kicked her the fuck out of the crib. I was like, yo, you're going back to your parents' house right now. Nuh-uh, I know you stole my last Xan. This is it. This is done. I was ready to throw it all away over the last Xan. Shorty could have stolen my wallet, all the money in it. That probably wouldn't have been enough for me to kick her out. She could have gone down to my fridge, cleared out all the food. That wouldn't have been enough for me to kick her out. She probably could have broken my computer. That I don't think that would have been enough for me to kick her out at that point. You know, I was pretty stupid at that point. But the Xan changed everything. You are a terrorist. Get the fuck out of my house. The Xan was like my nuclear power source. It's like she walked into my power plant and flipped off the reactor. You need to leave. Okay? Now. I remember one time when I was barred out, I got in an argument with my mom, and it was on the way to a haircut. She was literally driving me to get a haircut. I was barred out of my fucking mind, and we were going back and forth. And I remember one of the things I said while I was barred out to my mom is I was like, the only thing I give a fuck about is selling drugs and getting high. The problem is at that point, I didn't sell drugs. So I don't know where my brain was at that point. But I made that comment in response to my mom telling me that I need to take my dog out 2 times instead of 1 while she's at work when I get home from school. That is what made me crash out and say that. Say that I care about nothing in the world but drugs. She still brings that comment up to this day. Bro, it's literally been a decade. All I'm saying, all you young ones out there watching this channel, tread lightly with the shit you say when you're young, okay? Your parents aren't gonna forget, buddy. They're not gonna forget. I also used to have the craziest road rage on the Xans. Oh my God, dude. This was a pretty universal thing. I had another friend who we're going to refer to as Jason in this one, who also used to come. He would insist on being the designated driver while off like 4 fucking ladders and going like 85 through neighborhoods, you know? But he would always dude, anyone in front of him driving any which way would piss him off. Me, I would just get deeply offended by people who weren't driving properly. And there was one time I came up to this stop sign intersection. It was like a 3-way intersection, and this dude blew it. And he his window was down, and I shouted something in passing, and it escalated into this whole thing where I got out of my car and this dude fucking pulled off, and there's people all around me. I'm blocking the intersection, crashing out on this guy. I remember, dude, I was so stupid. I remember I reached into my fanny pack as if I was gonna, I could have gotten shot, dude. I remember I had a fanny pack on. I reached into that bitch as I was getting out of the car, to try to act like I was gonna pull something out. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna scare this fucking guy. Just stupid Bartard shit, dude. But I'm telling you, Xans genuinely make you a retard. They really do. Bartard is a genuine term. It's not derogatory. It's just true. But anyways, let's move on to the 5th and what I would argue is the most significant consequence I faced for my Xanax use. And that is a real, genuine, lifetime mental addiction to Xans, you know? All the other drugs I've done, like cocaine, for example, I think about a lot, but the calling has gotten pretty weak, you know? I don't feel a real physical urge take over me when I think about it for a while. Xanax just creeps into my brain every now and then, and I almost feel the dopamine pumping through my veins just thinking about taking one. Honest to God, if there was one in front of me right now as I'm saying this sentence, I would pop it right now before I finish the sentence. It is an incredibly addictive drug. It is the devil. These things are literally like little heroin pills, okay? They're so incredibly addictive. They're so easily accessible. They're so widely widely normalized. It is just the worst combination of factors for a drug ever. And I drool at the thought of taking another Xan to this very day. 10 years from now, I'll probably still tell you the same thing. Honestly, the more time that goes by, the worse it fucking gets. And I really mean that, guys. The amount that I fantasize about taking Xans and I think about the feeling that comes over my body when Xanax hits me, it'll never go away, I don't think. It doesn't get easier. All the other drugs got easier. The cocaine screaming at me in the back of my brain, it got quiet after a while. But the Xanax just never, ever shuts the fuck up in the back of my head. It is a constant almost every day. Just like, dude, it would be nice if you had a Xan right now. Dude, this would feel good off a Xan anytime I'm stressed. It really, oh my God, it really eats at me whenever I'm stressed. When I'm sitting in traffic, I'll be sitting there like, dude, this would be so much better off 2 fucking ladders right now, you know? I fantasize about it. The taste, even that disgusting bitterness that so many times I've told you guys has nearly made me vomit. I fucking yearn for it. I would kill to have that bitterness on my tongue right now telling you guys this. Honestly, making this video has fucked up the rest of my night because I'm going to be sitting at my desk fiending, absolutely fucking fiending for the rest of the night, guys. I'm cooked. This drug has an iron grip on me, on my friends, on everyone I knew who ever took enough of it to become genuinely addicted to it. And that doesn't take very much. You only got to take a couple Xans and just like that you're hooked, because there's nothing like it. Xanax is genuinely true bliss in a pill form. It is by far the best feeling drug I've ever done in my life, and that is exactly why none of you should ever touch that shit, because that is a drug that will really actually kill you, and it'll kill you in the worst way possible. It won't kill you quickly. You're not going to overdose and die suddenly because you take too many. No, it'll just slowly rip your life apart until all of a sudden you are fucked. Xanax is a evil, terrible drug. It feels incredible. It's the best drug on the face of the fucking earth, and that's exactly why none of you should ever try that shit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. And remember that these are just my personal consequences from Xanax use. Everyone's look different. Let me know what yours were in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching this one. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Drop a sub if you haven't already. Go watch my podcast, The Gobcast. It's uploaded every Wednesday on YouTube. You know the drill. I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.